This all started when I heard a morning radio show criticizing patients for taking GLP-1s and GLP-2 medications, calling them toxic. And so I wrote him an email saying that this can be really detrimental because patients are going to hear their local celebrities criticizing them, and they're going to stop taking their medications. And so this is not a response to their initial segment. This is a response to their 30-minute segment that they did the next day, directly responding to my email.
But here's what happens. When you take those pills, there is nothing encouraging your body to process food correctly, and more importantly, maintain lean muscle mass. So if you're taking a weight loss pill,
Except for we're not talking about diet pills. We're talking about GLP-1s and GLP-2 injections, which have a completely different mechanism of action than diet pills, such as phentermine.
You are bound to lose lean muscle mass. So yes, your weight on the scale will drop. You will apparently lose inches, but your body fat percentage will rise because you've now lost lean muscle, you've lost water, which is very conductive for your body, and yet your body fat mass has stayed very high. So you're less efficient, you're burning less calories per day, you're more likely to put the weight back on, and worst of all, you're now more unhealthy than you were at the higher weight. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That is crazy to me. So
Everything he said does not apply to GLP-1s and GLP-2s. These medications work by targeting the receptors in the brain and the gastrointestinal tract. They upregulate intestinal glucose transport, they improve intestinal barrier function, and they inhibit gastric emptying and acid secretion. This subsequently has the effect of reducing a person's appetite and telling the body to use its fat stores for energy production.
Anyone who would, because they hear a guest on a radio show espouse his opinion, would then, without contacting their doctor or doing any research on their own, stop taking a pill is so unstable that you cannot for 1 second hold us accountable. We take our responsibility very seriously around here.
Unfortunately, I've frequently have patients that stop taking their medications because of something they heard from a family member or even a neighbor, something they read and took out of context. We live in a world where social media and celebrities have an oversized impact on people's decision making.
I don't know what all her things.
she's a nurse.
Oh, okay.
I looked her up.
Really?
There can be
Nurse practitioner.
ones that
You're right. I am a nurse. I'm also a nurse practitioner, which is an advanced degree. Loving the way that you said nurse practitioner, by the way.
Nurse practitioner.
ones that do.
Now you threw me a curveball there. Because the very first sentence of the next paragraph is, I own a primary care practice.
Right, and that's what it says on her LinkedIn. I'm glad you didn't say her last name because I looked her up. I wanted to see what her credibility was.
Yeah, we never use last names. I'm not going to get into that game.
Perfect.
But, okay.
So she's
like PAs, physician's assistants, can and do run their own offices and their I'm a doctor, but they're physician's assistants. They don't have that next level of training. Nurses can do that, or what do you know?
I've never heard of a nurse being able to prescribe anything per later.
So PAs wouldn't introduce themselves as I'm a doctor unless they had a doctoral degree. Nurse practitioners would not introduce themselves as a doctor if they did not have a doctoral degree. I have a doctoral degree. And as a nurse practitioner, in all 50 states, we are able to prescribe.
It says that she finished her master's in 2021.
Why is she a PhD then?
That's a great question. She's had that practitioner position for 4 years at the location that she has now, but
So since you're having a hard time keeping my credentials straight, I thought I would enlighten you. I have been in the medical field since 2010. I got my registered nursing degree in 2012, my family nurse practitioner degree in 2016, my PhD in 2021, and my psychiatric nurse practitioner degree in May of this past year. And I opened my own practice in 2018.
It's good to know that other bit of information that she is prescribing actual drugs from a pharmacy. Okay, because like not a bioidentical pharmacy. Where I'm going with this is, remember, for the longest time I saw this doctor, but she was a nurse, but she had learned from other doctors, and she was helping women with hormones and things like that. And what she would prescribe was bioidentical. She never offered anything that you would actually go to a pharmacy. And she had been trained under other doctors, but it was like her own office. And that's the only thing I've ever heard of. And I think you can maybe get away with it more too in like the holistic world like that as well. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, so
What you are describing here sounds like she was a nurse practitioner, likely one that had a subspecialty in holistic medicine and bioidentical hormones. And whether she was sending those prescriptions to a typical pharmacy or a compounding pharmacy, she would need to be licensed and certified. Otherwise, she would be violating state and federal laws.
Your job is to keep patients healthy. So assuming that your certifications put you as a physician, right? Someone who is guiding people throughout a daily life from anywhere from birth all the way up until death, right? How is it not your responsibility to keep them from getting to a point when they need medications in the first place? The reasons their joints hurt, the reasons they don't want to work out, the reasons that they are at the point they are at to need medication is essentially your fault, because you didn't take advantage of any of the opportunities, including people like me, to keep people from getting there.
So what you're describing is primary prevention. That's what I do. I am a primary care provider. I educate and I assess their risk factors on obesity, on high cholesterol, on diabetes, on hypertension. And then I address it. I refer them to nutritionists, ones that accept insurance, and physical therapists when appropriate. And I can't utilize people like you because the cost is so out of reach for much of my patient population. So often do these patients come to me that have been lost to medical follow-up after 10 years, after 20 years, and they already have obesity. They already have high blood pressure. They already have high cholesterol. So then my job becomes that secondary prevention to prevent further complications, in addition to doing everything I can to help with their obesity.
He lost 20 pounds in like a week and a half, right? He has a lot next week. Sorry, sir, you're not losing weight fast enough, so please take these bariatric shakes. He's been seeing this physician for 30 some odd years and now is not fast enough. What happened 30 years ago when he started putting the weight on? Please eat.
You can't force somebody to change. If they aren't ready, you can make all of the referrals and recommendations in the world, but they just won't follow that medical advice.
well, so
Which isn't it to her benefit that they prescribe all these pills?
that's where all the money is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
You may continue now.
No one pays me but me, so
It's hard for me to take anything from this other than the insinuation that I get paid to prescribe these medications. There are laws, the anti-kickback statute and the Stark law, that prevent prescribers from making money off of the medications that they prescribe to their patients. Additionally, the Sunshine Law requires any payments or transfers of value to be made that are made to medical providers from pharmaceutical companies to be reported and is publicly available to maintain transparency. Now, I am not even talking about if they are paid for consulting, research, guest speaking, etc. This law requires that every cup of coffee or donut a medication rep may bring to my office is reported.
I have so many thoughts, and I have no qualifications other than a person who's lived this my whole life. And one of the things that I just find as part of the problem is in her email when she says obese people don't want to move around. She is disregarding all the obese people that did just that. There is story after story of actual people that are 100 pounds overweight, 200 pounds overweight, and they start hitting the pavement. And when you read their stories, oh my God, yes, they are in pain in every step that they take, but they do it. They start for 5.
You're misrepresenting what I sent in that email. What I said was when patients start losing the weight or they've lost the weight, they're more motivated to exercise because they're no longer in pain. Because not everyone can get past that pain. So if these medications help get them over that hurdle, I absolutely think they are beneficial.
But my problem with stuff like that is it doesn't truly change your life. Why are you that big? What got you that big? You need to find that out and solve that so you can actually have true change. It is mind, body, and soul.
Mind, body, and soul. Well, I have my family nurse practitioner degree, which addresses the body. And to better help my patients, I pursued my psychiatric nurse practitioner degree, which addresses their mind. And their soul, I leave to their religious authorities. And weight gain isn't just about diet and exercise or psychological causes. It can be medical, such as hypothyroidism, PCOS, genetic factors, and yes, medication side effects.
And you're a part of the diet industry, ma'am, that ruins people, that has them yo-yoing and hurting. This to me is...
I am not part of the diet industry. I do not recommend any specific diets or meal plans or supplements other than basic vitamins. For that, I refer out to nutritionists.
I'm sorry, you're new to this, so how long have you been studying your clients? Get back to me in 10 years with those people. And where are they?
Well, I have been helping my patients with these issues since I graduated as a nurse practitioner in 2016. And unfortunately, these patients or these medications are relatively new, so we don't have any long-term data on them, but recent 3-year studies are very promising.